Hello viewers, so here we are then for another rf2 video. This time we've got the helmet cam, as we can see, so I'm not actually on screen. I just thought I'd do this radio style. This video again sent in to us by BS Nismo as he works his way through rf2. Really like this new visor effect they've got in it as well, absolutely fantastic as we go away from the start. Lots of jostling in these Formula Renault cars. All getting around cleanly around turn one. And this is a really nice new course which we've been seeing develop since rf2 was first released in beta form. Still a long way to go from launch at the moment. As we get around these tricky first few laps, lots of movement in this helmet cam. It's a really nice sort of feeling of speed it gives you without tilting too much towards the corner, because that's what can sometimes feel destabilising, but the actual acceleration and braking is there. The course has some interesting undulation, tricky braking points on it. Again, out of these slow corners. This is a fictional course, but it does look absolutely fantastic. Lots of detail, and clearly it shows that the rf2, as I say, they're focused very much on the physics at the moment. This tricky moment there, trying to get the speed, scrub the speed down on the car. We've got this sort of long left-hander that you slow down, it tightens on the exit eventually, so you need to sort of scrub off speed. A very tricky corner, especially as your tyres wear down, and we're going to be seeing that in this video today. This is a video which looks at the physics, but it'll also look at the tyres and how tricky the car gets to drive, and we'll listen to that more and more as the race goes on. And of course the time of day change, which has been sped up so we can actually see it in motion. See the shadows casting, objects casting shadows across the track. We're going to lap 2. Now this is the AI on the hardest setting at the moment, so very tricky AI. As you can see, you'd really need to know the track very well and be pushing on the limit, but of course being so early in development, possibly there's some fine-tuning to go on that. Long way to go on everything you see at the moment, but a really nice racing feel. The feedback from Nismo has been that this is absolutely, well, nothing short of amazing at the moment, and he's having great fun on it. This course is very challenging, very tricky, and there's lots of graphical details appearing on the cars as well. It certainly looks a lot better than when I saw it before. I mean, maybe not a lot of changes have taken place, but certainly just the overall look of detail and lighting seems to be ever improving. And this is still a long, long way to go from launch. We're going that tricky corner again. Around there much smoother this time. I'm sure that's pretty tricky on the brakes. A little bit of throttle needed through the corner to keep a bit of traction, keep those wheels rolling. And of course, you know, when we look at this now, you know, over the past week, you know, I've been reporting on my career in iRacing, which I've been off for a few days while I catch up on a load of video edits. We've got Project Cars, which is looking, you know, absolutely amazing graphically, and it's a growing project all the time. I mean, new courses, new cars, new modes, so much still to come in that. We've got rf2, which, as we all know, will have amazing physics, but will the graphics be able to keep up? Certainly on detail environments, there's lots of detail there. I think ultimately it will just come down to a little bit of spit and polish when it comes to the effects and lighting, details such as that. So comfortably through these slow corners. I like to have a little listen now and again to if the car's sliding around. We will hear it sliding later in the video. Into this high-speed section again. I would love to see this running on a triple screen with a motion seat, because there is so much sort of feeling that you get from this view. That tricky corner again. That's nice. Nice and sweet this time. You really do need to get it just right on the apex. Get yourself nice and smoothly through there and gently get on the power. Very easy to spin out in these cars. I mean, this is good play here, and it's making it look a lot easier than it really is. You know, you really need to be constantly feeling for the grip, and especially as the tyres are working away, degrading underneath your car. You can see cars in the mirrors there. We're holding them up. And that sunlight coming through really gives a nice effect on that visor as well. I like it. Looks good. It's good. It's a good feeling. So you'd be sitting in front of your monitor breathing through a sponge just to give it that realistic effect of having a visor on. So falling away a little bit from the leaders. It's tricky keeping up with them at the moment, it has to be said. They certainly are. When they say hard, they mean rock hard at the moment, but we can see how the lighting has changed quite a bit in the last few laps. And of course this is all sped up at the moment so we can show these effects off to you guys. So yeah, we're going to have more rFactor 2 catch up activity in the next week or so, along with some more project cars, just to finish off with the F1 there, and my continuing career on iRacing. Quite a few videos coming in iRacing over the coming weeks as I try to explain as much of it to you guys as possible and open it up. rFactor 2 and the whole sort of PC modding thing is not something we've focused too much on before. It's something we'll focus on ever more. Ooh, a little touch there, able to make it around the corner. And we can see the lighting changing. Again, bear in mind that all this lighting that you're seeing is very, very early at the moment. So there's certainly a long way to go in developing it. It's a nice high-speed corner there before braking. You have to be really quick once you've got through the corner to straighten the car and keep it balanced into the braking zone. You need to get your exit just right there. You can see the car on the inside. Every lap we've been trying to hold that car back, and you've got to be committed, giving enough room through that section before keeping on the power. So leaving no quarter at the moment. The AI really will take any opportunity. If this was iRacing, I would probably have let the guy through. Something I've noticed in my iRacing career is that when someone is an awful lot quicker than you can hold them back for a certain amount of time, but once they actually get on, you're inside or you're outside. Whatever way the corner's going, it is sometimes better to yield rather, and at least you're ready for another day, another battle, and they might fall off the next corner. So we're about halfway through this race distance now, keeping a mid-pack order, and this is where the tyres will start to degrade more, and the lighting will gradually fade in a moment as well, which will really add an additional sort of difficulty, if you like. Closed up a little bit on the cars in front. Front wheels locking up slightly. A little bit slide in the car now. Again, that might be due to the slight tyres fading. I look forward to getting hands on this myself, actually. So much driving to do, so much driving done already. But yes, so as I was saying, so I'll be working a bit more on my iRacing. As for rFactor and the modding community, it's something we'll look to sort of later. You know, rFactor 2's still got a long way to go. We'll be having some focus shows on it later on, and having a look at Sim Raceway. It's something which we've not looked at too much yet, and it's going to be developing. They're announcing lots of exciting new additions in the form of new cars. The new Indy car is going to be with them as well shortly, so we'll be taking a look at that, taking it for a spin. So we see the lighting taking its next phase now as the trackside lighting takes over, creating some very tricky shadows. Apologies for the slight failure in the video there. And you can see now the lighting completely changing through this high speed section again. The corner tightens. Very tricky, and so those tyres are going slightly now, but that was nicely done. Just a little bit of oversteer again there, struggling to get on the power now. And again, I can't underestimate to you how difficult it is when you're running nearly, that was close. And alas, that was a costly error, which has allowed a number of cars through. As you can see, they're all nose to tail. We're looking for an opportunity to pass for some time. Let's see if Nismo now can close up on them and take back a few places, but I think it's going to be tricky for him as his tyres wear out. So what have we noticed here then? Intensity of speed, graphical detail, very nice. Lighting, always improving. But handling is the key thing that everybody tells me is coming along fantastic. And for me, as I love Formula cars, this is something I'll definitely try out at some point. I tend to be a grippy car guy rather than a drifty car guy, as no doubt many of you know. So I look forward to getting my hands on this. talking of which, actually, in iRacing, that'll probably mean Star Mazdas and Indy cars for me, which is what I hope to progress to eventually in my racing career when I have a bit of time. Very dark section. You have to know the track well. I've been in a race car with a guy being taken around Silverstone at night. Some of you may remember that from the channel. Crazy guy, his name was Gary. He took me around in an Aston Martin sideways in the pitch black, literally. You didn't know where the corner ended. It's amazing how disorientated you can feel, not just with driving at night, but with the added effects of the slide and the G-forces of the car. It can throw you off. And so when you see stuff such as this, or Le Mans, the incredible speeds they're going at, you know, you need to have complete faith and complete understanding. And I think that just shows how much of racing actually comes through a feel rather than visual. Whereas obviously in a simulation or a game, it's all about, generally it's all about the visual and then what you can get from the feeling. And I think that's where a good steering wheel can come through, and I think that's where the home experience of racing has moved on so much now, is because we have these fantastic wheels that give great feedback, along with that being supported by the developers and the multi-screen displays. And again, that's all of that stuff is something we intend to sort of focus on more later in the year. Trying to keep up with these guys, but it's very difficult. As you can see, you just can't get on the power as quick as they can at the moment. I had a similar issue in Project Cars recently, and they mentioned that that's because the AI sometimes have tyres that don't wear as much, or their tyre temperatures are better than yours as a default, stuff like that. So these games are all still very early in development. You can see their sideways movement, just trying to get on the power, even progressively. These guys have to be so fit when they're doing this racing. Some of them doing a marathon today around Silverstone for charity, and well done to all the guys that are involved in that. Talking of Formula Renault, we're hoping to be covering some of the Formula Renault season this year on VVV if we can. That's all being discussed right now. We hope to have an interview with one of the challengers, Dan Wells, in the coming weeks for you guys, and he'll be talking a little bit about the racing, about the physical preparation, a bit about the sponsorship. Sponsorship, I think, is key. It is very challenging trying to find sponsors. Motorsport is such an expensive business, and I think that sometimes the physical training and the mental impact and the sponsorship and the stress that can put on a driver is sometimes not always thought about. We see the action on the track, but we don't always realise what kind of pressure a driver is under elsewhere, and it's often off-track pressure that puts more pressure on than anything, because there is that almost that desperation, if you like. It's not just down to confidence of you as a driver, it's down to that desperation to know that you've got to perform well, and you've got to let go of that and just have faith in your own ability, and that's a lot easier said than done, especially when you just want to get home clean, but at the same time you want to win. As we see a mistake there, tyres are wearing, keep it away from the barrier, just about keeping away from the barrier, and we go again to live another day. So yes, lots of Formula Renault, so I'm hoping to be in the pits during the races this year, and if I do, I'll get you guys some footage, not of the races, but of some of the activity in the pits, everything from the mechanics, and I would say to you guys nearer the time, you know, obviously if you have questions, I'll give you the opportunity to fire them over, and we can put those to some of the drivers. One lap to go on this race. So it's been tricky, this night driving. It's been interesting seeing the time of day change, how the tyres have degraded. We'll be looking at another video just on the sort of flat spotting the tyres and what impact that can have on the car. As anyone will mention the classic Kimi Räikkönen incident many years ago. Amazing TV, it has to be said. The limit of what can happen when you flat spot a tyre. And when your tyre is as square as a block, as that one was, you do need to pit. That's the moral of that story. So coming around then, this final lap, last time through this tricky corner. keeping it together. Oh, little slide there, and you can hear the tyres squealing. And this is gently on the power section. That's it. It's better. It's better. It's nice and smooth this time. So always learning. You're always learning how to, you know, control the car in these conditions. But at the same time, that's what it's all about. Lots and lots of practice. But that's it from me for now, viewers, on this R Factor 2 video. Loads more to follow and loads of chat in the coming days. That's it from me. More soon.